Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Or welcome to the channel if you're just landing here. Glad to be with you always. Checking in on this Tuesday morning. A lot going on today, right? Going to talk about that Texas Senate race and what's looking like Kim Paxton taking it from John Cornyn. But the backlash from that, I think that's coming, and some of the things that the GOP had not counted on, especially in terms of spending that they're going to have to do now in what's going to be a really heightened race between probably Paxton. We'll look at it, Paxton and Talarico, James Talarico. But before I get to that, let's talk about Trump. Oh boy, yet another visit to Walter Reed today. Now, we understood there was some mysterious uh, impromptu visit that he had a few weeks ago for a dental issue. Uh huh. Okay, but now we're having today his third visit since he took office again. I want to take a look at what's really going on with him. We know we won't get the truth. The report will come out. Oh, he's in the health of a 50-year-old, right? We're not going to get the truth. But I've got some stuff pinging from my spirit guides around why they are so closely monitoring him, and if in fact this even relates to the supposed dentist visit a couple of weeks ago. I'm wondering, have they put him on some sort of life prolonging drugs, right? For entertainment purposes only. Have they put Trump on some sort of life prolonging drugs and or enhancement drugs? And I'm also saying that because keep in mind, Don Jr. and Peter Thiel are co-major investors in this, what's it called, enhanced games. Now, they just had on Sunday the 24th, they just had these, they called it the Olympics on steroids. So apparently this enhanced games company or project is where, backed again by Peter Thiel and Don Jr., where typically performance enhancing drugs have been banned in sports, right? But they're trying to loop this thing all the way around to market it and begin to market it as a to the public at large. Did Don Jr. talk his father into, or perhaps with the assistance of medical professionals, are they giving Trump some of these drugs? Spirit, I feel like I need to shuffle a little bit more. What will be the outcome, the true outcome of Trump's checkup today at Walter Reed? And is it related to him taking life prolonging drugs, experimental drugs, performance enhancement drugs? What's the truth of the status of Trump's health? We have the King of Swords at the bottom. That's him. Oh, not gonna ignore this. And we have death that comes behind it. Right out the gate, you all, I think that the extent to which he is or is considering taking these drugs is very a real thing, because he's concerned. All the signs are there, and as much as he will never, he will never publicly acknowledge, and everything around him and everyone around him is trying to cover, he feels it coming. The Two of Cups, wanting to stay young again, or wanting to feel young again. The promises that are being made to him about the potential outcomes of treatments. What is the truth of the status of his health? What will they really see when he goes to Walter Reed? The Magician. And the Five of Wands. Wow. His body is rebelling. You know what I think Spirit is saying here, you all? The magician indicates creation of something, right? Trying something different, trying to create something from whatever, from changing his body from one natural state of being to another, okay? So that's the magician, and I think that is pointing to whatever treatments they're giving him, whatever drugs they're giving him, or proposing that he take, but it is not working. The Five of Wands shows there's a conflict in his body. His body's not adapting to it. The Queen of Wands. This feels like encouragement that he's getting to do it. And the Eight of Cups. But he's afraid. Remember, supposedly this is a man who, doesn't drink, hasn't really been into the drug scene. So in terms of, being inclined to take substances, he isn't. But remember, we got that death card. He recognizes that he's fighting, trying to fight Father Time. So the Eight of Cups, I think, is a confirmation, number one, going back to that Five of Wands. Whatever they're giving him or proposing to give him is not going to work. It's not been working. Spirit, is his body in an advanced state of collapse? Is that the truth of what they will see today when he's examined? The Eight of Swords, it's gonna not, the news will not be good. The Eight of Swords, and he knows it already, because in the Eight of Swords energy, you're already it indicates heightened anxiety about it. So he recognizes that whatever he's been taking, and whatever, and Spirit is also saying, this would be normal treatment for whatever this vein condition and whatever other conditions he has that we're not being told the truth about. He's already worried. He sees that he's advancing. His symptoms are advancing, and he's already worried about it. The Knight of Pentacles. So Pentacles in a health situation, I do see that as something medicinal. So there's going to be suggestions about something else that he can take. Spirit, would this include these enhancement drugs that apparently Teal and Don Jr. are behind? The Four of Wands. They're going to switch up what he's been doing because there's a conflict in whatever they've been giving him, going back to that Five of Wands. So they're going to try and switch it, but he's going to have a lot of anxiety about it. He's afraid to do it, but he's more afraid of that, right? Spirit, please show us the state of his health by his birthday, by his 80th birthday on June 14th. Will he have an episode or a market deterioration by then? The Four of Cups, almost a resignation. He won't be feeling good at all. Wouldn't be surprised if he goes to sleep during one of those celebrations that they're planning. And what do we have here? The Nine of Wands. Yeah, he's really running out of gas. And I know how frustrating that is to hear, right? People are like, yeah, go on empty already. Why do I get it. But just so you see energetically, they have been giving him something. And I think they're going to propose something else to try and essentially change his composition, but it's not working. His body's rejecting it. The Nine of Pentacles. Don't be surprised if you see additional. Remember, he issued that executive order not long ago around the promoting the use and accelerating research into the use of psychedelic drug treatments, right? There's more of that coming. That Nine of Pentacles feels like there's more. He's going to push for more advancements in perhaps performance enhancing drugs, life prolonging drugs, and the High Priestess. But he's going to be very careful about what he consumes, even as Spirit just said he's going to want to see how it works on other people before he agrees to take it. But at the end of the day, he's running out of time. Spirit, please show me something around timing for him, and whether or not he takes these drugs. The King of Cups comes up. That's one of his doctors, one of his major doctors, advisors, and the Tower. They're not going to be able to come up with anything that works because his body is rejecting anything that they're trying. So there's a breaking point. And timing wise, there's a breaking point. The Tower. And then, yeah, confirmation, the Tower comes for the Emperor. All right, his body is giving out. And I'm not getting a specific time frame, which is really hard to do with tarot or most divination systems, right? Considering that energetically, I know we talk about this and it is frustrating, but energetically, just as there are things karmically and physically and otherwise contributing to his demise, there are also there's also energy, dark energy, etc., that is contributing to keeping him in place, because of course we see, all this money that's changing hands. So there's that teeter-totter between the two, energetic forces. But at the end of the day, what we're seeing in this spread today is he's human. And so his body, his organs are not tolerating whatever they're giving him. And he's starting to really get stressed out about that. Not starting, he's been stressed out about it. But that stress is going to be heightened. And you got it, the Tower and the Emperor. Matter of time, right? Matter of time. All right, the other thing I want to look at today, and this is kind of petty, but also interesting. In light of women and the focus on women and how women are so devoted to Trump, right? Especially women in the Christian, movement, if you will. Megyn Kelly, we heard, came out point blank and said, I wrote the quote down and said, if you think, I don't want to say his name, if you think Trump's been faithful to Melania, you've got bigger issues than I can solve. This apparently is what Megyn Kelly came out and said. It may have been, I think it was yesterday or over the weekend, right? But she came out and pointed all kinds of fingers at the numerous affairs over the years that he's had, and talked about him cheating on his wives, right? All of them. And so that's why she makes that comment about, if you think he's not cheating on Melania, I don't even know what to tell you. Now, we've been hearing a whole lot about this Natalie Harp, his executive assistant, who we understand is probably responsible for writing a lot of the more cogent social media posts. You can read some of them and ain't no way, no how in the world that he strung those sentences together, right? So Natalie Harp is apparently someone who is always by his side, devoted beyond like weird. But was Megyn Kelly trying to out that? Was Megyn Kelly trying to basically out a relationship between Trump and Natalie Harp? Again, for entertainment purposes only, for real. All right, let's see. Was that her objective? Is she trying to do that to get women in particular stirred up? We have the Seven of Pentacles. Okay, so that was a part of her plan to get people to start thinking, so who is it? The fact that he has had a pattern of having affairs with wives, with his past wives, what would make Melania any different? And if that is the case, then who is it? Spirit, was Megyn Kelly trying to point directly to Natalie Harp? And Ten of Pentacles. She was. And she's doing it because she wants to first self-promote, right? I think Megyn Kelly's got some ideas for her future, as well as Tucker Carlson, politically. She sees herself doing something politically. She did it for the clicks. She did it for the bait. She did it. That's also what the Ten of Pentacles is about. She did it to keep herself relevant. She did it to, she makes money from the content that she produces confirmation of that with the Queen of Pentacles that comes. So some of this was just to be sensationalizing an issue that she knew a lot of people would be drawn to. Spirit, is this something that's going to gain traction and come out in terms of him potentially having an affair? The Five of Swords. I don't think so. I mean, talk about it, but also moving on. It is meant to the Chariot. It is meant to, and this is a really Chariot is a very strong rule by Cancer, so a very strong family oriented card. There is, and she's taking a lot of heat. Five of Swords. She's taking a lot of heat for her continued what's considered betrayal from the traditional manga folk. But so bottom line here, I don't see it going very far, but it is just enough to raise some eyebrows and to perhaps bring some heat on this connection or relationship between Front and Natalie Hart, which I've seen some things about it in the Star. It won't go away. This may be yet another thing that comes out over time, right? Because people are going to be looking at her. The point is how many people who would fit that category, who have access to him, regular access to him, who would it be that makes sense? And there has, I have seen long before this thing with Megyn Kelly, I've seen some things, some question marks around Natalie Hart's, unbelievable devotion to him. There have been eyebrows raised around Caroline Levitt as well, but we know Caroline's, married and popping out babies here and there. So that didn't add up. And remember, he kept talking about Caroline's lips. He had this thing with her lips. So that was looking really weird, but it wasn't about Caroline. But Natalie Hart may be something. Megyn went ahead and put it out there, but again, it looks like it was more for self-promotion. But there's something to it, and it may not go away. And it may be something that comes out later because of that star. All right, the last thing I wanted to look at today is this the Texas Senate race. Let's go ahead and ask, will Ken Paxton win? Will he defeat John Cornyn? Will Ken Paxton defeat John Cornyn for the Texas GOP Senate primary? We have the King of, the King of Coins, the King of Pentacles. I'm not sure whether that's him, or in the Two of Cups. A decision that's being made, and the Seven of Swords, deception. And the Empress. And the Two of Wands. Is this Ken Paxton winning? Is this Ken Paxton winning, but there's something funky with the numbers? The Eight of Cups. Oh, you know what? I get it. Spirit's answering both my questions at one time. I think Ken Paxton is going to win. All right. I think he's going to pull it out. And that Two of Cups will be the deal that he's made with Trump and company. That's the cost of the endorsement that he got. The Seven of Swords is, of course, the idea that what was done to get him over, to get Paxton over the line, was already, there was some trickery behind it in terms of what they have done. I feel like this is more directed to Cornyn. What they did to essentially force Cornyn to accept his fate for the time being, right? But this Eight of Cups, you all, this is going to turn off a lot of voters. And what I'm getting is, Spirit, are you showing me with the Empress that came reversed? I'm getting the sense that with that Two of Wands focused forward, going forward, people are going to disengage. I think this is what Spirit is saying here is this is going to cost Talk about the backlash. This is going to cost turnout at the polls in the midterms. There are people in the GOP, there are MAGA loyalists who will not show up and vote for Paxton, which of course goes to Talarico's advantage, right? The Seven of Pentacles and the Six of Cups and the Five of Swords. People are truly, they feel like Cornyn got the assessment that Cornyn from the past. Six of Cups very often reflects something or how things were in the past. Cornyn was a devout loyalist, devout to Trump in his agenda, devout. But Paxton, people are going to be like, why? Five of Swords, confusion over it. But here's the deal. Paxton got put in because he will play dirty. Cornyn wouldn't have played as dirty as it relates to fighting Talarico and continuing to further this regime's agenda. Cornyn's not that kind of politician. He's a devout loyalist, but Paxton is a different breed. And there's the Chariot, exactly. And this is bringing him into the family. Remember I said in the last spread, the Chariot can relate to family. This is the, if you want to think about it as sort of the mafioso, right? Again, for entertainment purposes only. But this is, Paxton was more suitable to be groomed to bring into the family, to bring into the regime and carry out things in a way that Cornyn, for all of his devotion and alignment, was not ready to do. But the backlash, you all, is, again, I think that this is going to cause a lot of people in Texas. Number one, it's going to punish them financially. The GOP is going to have to spend a boatload of money in Texas now that they had not planned on spending, right? That's going to hurt. That's going to pinch. They're going to feel it. Will this actually work to Talarico's advantage to get a Democrat in that seat? Will this work to Talarico's advantage? Will having Paxton as the person, the GOP nominee, will this work to Talarico's advantage? Five of Pentacles, it's going to be a financial thing. They're going to pour crazy money, just as we were talking about. They're going to pour crazy money, the GOP, into Texas to try and get Paxton in there. So Talarico's challenge is going to be Page of Wands. He's going to have to work really hard to get people stirred up. Financially, to help him financially. But there's the High Priestess. I think there are people who will work behind the scenes. And the Six of Swords. Talarico's going to get help from unexpected sources, you all. And this could even be, Spirit, are you showing me GOP or Republican or conservative leaning donors even who would help Talarico? The Five of Wands, they're angry, conflicted, and the Hangman. And the Knight of Cups. There will be some younger, and the Eight of Swords. I don't see this as a flip to actually help Talarico, but there's going to be those who sit out. Hangman again. There's going to be those who just simply check out. I can't do Paxton. Not willing to help Talarico, but I can't do Paxton. The Knight of Cups, I feel like, is actually more representative of Talarico as a young, really pulling on that Christian, tugging on the Christian heartstrings, even among conservatives in Texas. And the Six of Pentacles. He's going to pull, this is a card of give and take, negotiation even. Talarico will pull a certain number of voters that would have gone conservative. It will not be a tidal wave. Where I feel like there's more of a tidal wave that Spirit is saying here is watch the numbers in November. In this race, I think there's going to be few impact on the turnout. And the Seven of Swords. This is going to be another one of those races, like many in the midterms, where there's going to have to be an evaluation of the numbers. They're going to try and rig it. They want, and remember that Seven of Swords came out around Ken Paxton before. They think that they can figure out a way to work the numbers to come out in Paxton's favor, because they're going to have to offset the fact that there will be a chunk of voters who are not going to show up. Then they just can't get from Cornyn to Paxton. They can't get there. They're also not willing to go to Talarico, but this is going to. I think Talarico is going to pull it out, but it's going to be a fight because they're going to try and work the machines. All right, like everywhere else, and I'm gonna be doing a lot of readings around that. Still don't see a concrete plan to counter that. We've heard rumors and talk about, clearly we know that these voting machines have been tampered with. We know that satellite data, how did Musk know, what was it, 3 hours ahead of time that supposedly Trump had won? Like, how did you get that data that fast, right? Where'd that come from? There's gotta be a mechanism in place. I just keep getting, what do you all think? I just keep getting, are you really saying that the only people who have technology or technical advancement skills enough to work this energy are all on Trump's side? There's nobody who believes in democracy and justice who has the technical skills, right? I just heard, as I said that, watch the people with Anthropic, right? They fought that turning over everything to the Pentagon. Watch the people with Anthropic. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see something in there. If they really do want to be a force for change for good in the AI and high-tech space, watch for them. That might be really interesting. All right, you all. Thanks so much for being here with me. Also, please remember to put on your, I think it's notifications all. I've noticed my numbers going down. Some other content creators, Marianne, Revealing Light Tarot, has talked a lot about this recently, where there's been some shadow banning of political content, especially if it's left leaning. There's been potential shadow banning on the platform. And I have noticed that my numbers have been impacted as well. So if you could, I've had people say I'm not seeing you on my feed like I used to. So if you could hit the notifications bell and notifications all, that would certainly help as well. And if you could leave a comment, just take a moment and leave a comment of at least 7 words, I heard is something that impacts the algorithm. But anyway, I just appreciate your help in trying to keep the channel growing and alive and keeping the content out there. It ain't easy, but we got this. We're gonna make sure this, we do what we do. Chin up, right? Shoulders back. Continue to come from your heart, always. Sky is always above you, and the earth is beneath you, supporting you. All right, I'll talk to you a little later. Bye.